right. So, as much as the alarm went off to tell us that this was ready a while back, it's been cooling.
During the Newfoundland molasses bread video.
Yes. So it's been cooling. You let it cool in the pan. So I'm just going to pop it out here. Dun, dun, dun. Let me give you a hand. I need a second hand, apparently. Haha. Looks pretty good.
Peel off. So this uses a parchment paper disc, and you can find out how to cut one of those in another video on our channel.
So it looks perfect. It's lovely. Well, I dish it up. Why don't you tell me?
Go ahead. So this is
How you made it.
this is a brown sugar cake. Very plain because it's supposed to have a sauce on top, but I didn't make the sauce.
Of course not.
As I've been, I pour through old cookbooks and go through old cookbooks. A brown sugar cake recipe is in every cookbook that we have from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
It's very soft. Like, as I cut it.
So I thought if it's in every cookbook and every recipe is essentially the same in every cookbook, it must be good.
It's either really good or, like some of the recipes we've gotten online, absolutely awful and just spread. But this is spread by word. So
this is spread and it's in like actual published cookbooks.
So it should have greater.
It should be good.
What's the word I'm looking for? The authenticity of the recipe should be stronger
Should be
than
stronger,
that which would be on the
On the interwebs. Ooh, good looking cake.
It does nice and brown on the edge.
I'm gonna take this piece. Sorry, Jules. You have to get your own.
That's okay. I've got a fork. Ma.
Oh, that's really good. So here's how I made it. Typical cake fashion, I started in a stand mixer and I put in brown sugar and butter. And I cream that until it's really nice and smooth. While the butter and sugar is creaming together, I deal with the dry ingredients, and that's flour, baking powder, salt, and baking soda, and I just give that a stir to combine. By the time the brown sugar and the butter is creamed together, I can add 2 eggs, and you put one in, you make sure that it's mixed in completely, and then you put in the second one. Once the eggs were fully incorporated, in went some vanilla. And then I poured in the buttermilk. I put the buttermilk in because some of the recipes said buttermilk first, flour second. Some of the recipes said flour first, buttermilk second. I think if I was to do it again, I'd put the flour in first and then the buttermilk. But in any event, it turned out great. So once it was all mixed together, into a 9-inch round cake pan that is greased with a parchment disc on the bottom, and into the oven. Once it's cooked, it just cools in the pan, and this is what we get. Now, most of the recipes had you put a butterscotch sauce or a caramel sauce with it.
Okay. Well, let's taste it first. Well, it's kind of like sauces. I like adding salt to things.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes need to taste it first to decide if that's the kind of sauce you want with it and how much you want, right?
A little bit of sauce, but I don't think I'd put much on it. It's a very light, moist cake, isn't it?
You could also get away with probably a brown sugar crumble, brown sugar butter crumble on it.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably even serve it up with some fruit. It'd be really good.
Yeah. But it is
It's really nice though. It's really this texture's really nice.
The texture's really nice. Very few ingredients. Came together really quickly, and it's in the oven.
It's a very simple cake. It's very simple in flavor, but it is a great base cake. And it's a lovely texture. I've said that, but you know.
And every recipe had it in one pan, but I mean, you could split that between 2 pans and put any sort of frosting on it that you want and do a layer cake. It would be really good for that as well. So, moral of this story, when you see the same recipe everywhere in books, you got to give it a try.
Especially if they were your grandmother's books.
Especially,
or your grandfather's books. Yeah.
You know, our grandparents' cookbooks.
I'm looking forward to the crunchy edge. I do like that.
Simple, plain, tasty. Not overpowering, not too sweet. Give it a try. It's really good.
I'm just going to sit here and finish eating this cake.